What's up? So, my 2 cents are that Trayvon hit Zimmerman first. He was the first to do something illegal. Zimmerman got out of his car only to see the street light that he saw Trayvon on after talking to the police. And it was dark and rainy, so he wanted to get out of his car to make sure. Trayvon ran and hid in the bushes, and when Zimmerman approached his car to get back in, after just wanting to see the name of the street, Trayvon came from behind him and said, "Do we have a problem?" or something. "Do you have a problem?" Zimmerman said, "No." Trayvon said, "You do now," and he was the first to punch him. Trayvon was the aggressor. In legal terms, he started it. And to be honest, there weren't any marks on Trayvon's face, just the bullet wound, of which forensics states that it appeared that Trayvon was on top due to the bullet wound. He didn't have any markings on his face. So, what does that mean? Zimmerman got beat the shit out of him. There's a picture of Zimmerman. They're not supposed to release a picture of Martin. They did on accident to pull at some strings on some news show, but they're not supposed to. Anyway, so legally, Zimmerman fought for his life and he won because he was armed. He did not instigate anything by getting out of his car to look at the street that he saw him on, because Trayvon had already hidden by that time. He was not getting out of his car to provoke him. It's not illegal to follow someone, but it's not polite either. It's a little rude, and it was a little racial profiling. But his apartment was robbed multiple times that week, by African-American hooded figures. And Trayvon was in a fight that very day. So that's my 2 minutes on that. I got an edition of the Holy Bible. It's the Classic series, King James Version. It's only like $6.99. So already it's synchronistic, right? The copyright year is 1987. On page 210 it has Benjamin it's in Book of Chronicles chapter 2. It's the sons of Israel, and Ben itself means son. A lot of little things. Page 457 of this edition is exactly when the New Testament starts, and that's exactly the year BC 457 that William Miller got his fucking Daniel chapter 8 verse 14 theory. Until 2300 days, then the sanctuary will be cleansed. So he starts that 2300 days, which is actually years, at the time when Artaxerxes invaded Jerusalem. So add 2300 to negative 457, it's 1843. And then they later corrected it for some odd reason with Samuel Snow to October 22nd, 1844, the week after Nietzsche was born. He calls himself the Antichrist. Anyway, logic dictates something was up. Zarathustrians, the Hopi, the Mayans, the Christians, at least 4 religions said 1844 was special. In the 1840s is actually known as a huge era of spirituality. But anyway, I'm getting into Christianity, very much so, after the Groxt, and having confirmed my Nietzsche, having confirmed this and that. What's interesting is that in that same verse, Daniel 8, in that same chapter, it says that I will send down, the little horn will cast down some of the hosts into people's bodies or something like that. And it was like Daniel 8 verse 11. I can't remember. It's right in front of me, but I only got one hand to hold this phone up. But anyway, it says, I will cast down some of the host. And Daniel is in the Old Testament. It's already talking about the Lord of hosts and stuff, which is the name for Jesus. Anyway, so I will cast down some of the hosts, until the great final rapture. And I believe Nietzsche was some of that. He was part of that. That's why there's a Quetzalcoatl one day, and then there's a Machu Picchu one day, and then there's a Viracocha. They all have similar mathematics, as Maurice Cotterill points out in his books. So is that these fractions of hosts returning, and then the ultimate main Jesus guy will come down at the rapture? Who knows? But I do know that Jose Arguelles, rest in peace, said after the 9 hell cycle, when Cortez invaded 1519, 52 years times 9 is the 9 hell cycle, and that ended on 1987, Quetzalcoatl's return. That's my date of birth. It's what is the significance of all this? Am I another fraction of a host, or are we all fractions of hosts? And some are highlighted. You know, I mean, my name means son. The first real Bible I actually get has all these numerical synchronicities. You know, at what point is... I finally found a Deepak Chopra quote that kind of sums this up. I used to think he was, but this one quote made me think, It says, religion is experiencing someone else's, spirituality, whereas real spirituality is experiencing religion for yourself, or something to that extent. I can't remember. I didn't write anything down today because I suck. But anyway, so getting into that, Trayvon Martin legally was guilty, but luckily Florida is heavily armed, but there's still stupid shit going on that I don't even want to mention. You can just Google it. So good thing we just armed ourselves, right? This is probably going to arm even more white people this week, And Obama's trying to make a federal court case with Eric Holder against all this. Like, excuse me, they went through the process. Meanwhile, Zimmerman is trying to sue MSNBC or whoever for racial, profiling claims and stupid stuff like that. I mean, they're showing pictures of Trayvon when he's like 13, but this was a 6'2", taller than me, 175 pound, weighs more than me. I'm a skinny dude. 17-year-old. He's not 15, he's not 13, all these pictures. He was 17. That fool sold guns and weeds and grew a plant, showed it all on, video. I mean, he had been in a fight that day, he had a history of fights. He wasn't a choir boy, but then again, we hear some stuff against Zimmerman, his past or whatever. But what does his past really have to do with the case itself for Zimmerman? Okay. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with that. Trayvon had a pass, Zimmerman had a pass, but it's about what actually happened, and Trayvon struck first. No hits to his face. Zimmerman, bloody on the face, had to do what he had to do. Trayvon even said, "You're going to die," to Zimmerman, according to Zimmerman. But the facial marks speak for themselves more so. Y'all have a good one. Stay safe. Arm yourselves.